One, in their right mind living in Ghana, would have envisaged the remarkable trend of events that started with the arrest of a young Ghana Air Force pilot and 6 other serving men of the Ghana Armed Forces for mutiny on 15th May 1979. By May 28, 1979, the young officer and his men had been arraigned before a general court-martial to be tried for offenses that could result in the death sentence for all the defendants. The sentiments so boldly expressed in his statement, read in court by the prosecution, roused public sympathy. He openly denounced corruption, nepotism, and the abuse of power in the military, and expressed the general feeling of the Ghanaian people. The chord he struck in the hearts of his fellow countrymen and women set in motion a wave of anti-government sentiment not seen in many years. Then on June 4th, 1979, a rainy morning in several places in Ghana, the voice of this young Air Force officer pierced the morning's quiet over the airwaves. His message was simple: to redeem the dying soul of Ghana. Some officers of the armed forces and men had earlier forcibly released him from custody, and with the support of certain civilian elements, he led a revolt that ousted the then government of the Supreme Military Council. The Armed Forces Revolutionary Council, AFRC, of which he became chairman, came into being as the government of the day. The young officer soon became the living embodiment of hope, integrity, patriotism, and dedication to duty. Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings was his name. Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings, known to all as JJ, was born in Accra on 22nd June 1947 to a Ghanaian mother from Jelukope near Kita in the Volta region of Ghana and a Scottish father. He was educated at Achimota School, where he obtained his General Certificate of Education O-Level in 1966. He enlisted as a flight cadet in the Ghana Air Force in 1967 at the age of 20 and was subsequently selected for officer cadet training at the Ghana Military Academy, Teshi near Accra. In March 1968, he was posted to Takoradi in the western region of the country to continue his course. He excelled and became the proud recipient of the coveted Speed Bird Trophy as the best in flying and airmanship in 1969. He was commissioned as a pilot officer in 1969, promoted to flying officer in 1971, and became flight lieutenant in 1978. Flight Lieutenant J.J. Rawlings' nature has always been averse to corruption. Even as a schoolboy in his mid-teens in the early 1960s, Jerry was aware of the corruption of the political leaders of the time. So when during his service, he witnessed the deterioration of discipline and morale as a result of pervasive corruption among the top echelon of the armed forces who were then in power, he was determined to clean the services of this social canker. May 15, 1979 was the harbinger of June 4, 1979, which was an opportunity for Rawlings to rid Ghanaian society of corruption. Rawlings and his men had proclaimed that they were seizing power temporarily to purge Ghana of corruption and other crooked behavior, and responding to concerns at their action being on the eve of general elections, promised that the polls would go ahead. The crusading mutineers did not object to civilian rule, but to the prospect of military leaders retiring with ill-gotten wealth. They also extended their house cleaning to all sorts of civilian malpractices, from official corruption to everyday racketeering, hoarding, profiteering, and black marketing, called kalabule in Ghana. 3 months in office, and Rawlings endeared himself to the Ghanaian populace, who responded with enthusiasm and admiration for this courageous young man. True to his word, Rawlings handed over to a civilian government on 24 September 1979. He was soon missed by Ghanaians, for although President Liman and his People's National Party government had pledged to wage a relentless war on poverty and corruption, in continuance of the work of the Armed Forces Revolutionary Council, corruption and mismanagement flourished, and the gulf between the rich and the poor grew even wider. Then on 31st December 1981, Jerry John Rawlings burst onto the political scene once again. This time it was not a coup d'etat, it was simply a holy war. The events of 31st December 1981 had none of the violence and drama of the June 4th uprising in 1979. The first the people knew of it was a radio broadcast by Jerry John Rawlings at 11 a.m. on Thursday, 31st December 1981. The voice of Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings announced the takeover of power from the People's National Government of President Liman. On January 2nd, 1982, the new head of state, Jerry John Rawlings, made another radio broadcast to the nation. Rawlings and his colleagues formed the Provisional National Defense Council, suspended the Constitution, and banned all political parties. The PNDC stated that its major objective was to involve the people in decision-making, and Flight Lieutenant Rawlings called for the formation of defense committees throughout the country. There was an enthusiastic response to this call. People's Defense Committees, PDCs, sprang up in the communities, and the Workers' Defense Committees, WDCs, emerged at workplaces as organs of popular power. For 10 years, Flight Lieutenant Rawlings, as chairman of the PNDC, ensured that the political system in Ghana was stabilized and the economy put on a sound footing. He became the beacon of hope for the underprivileged, lighting their paths as he encouraged them to take their destiny into their own hands. His regular visits to the countryside always left an indelible mark on the minds of many rural folk and goaded them into working hard to improve their lives. When the ban on political activities was lifted on May 1st, 1992, Jerry Rawlings stood for the presidential elections on the ticket of the National Democratic Congress, NDC. He won massively by a whopping 58% and was sworn in as the first president of the Fourth Republic. The coming into being of the Fourth Republic meant the peaceful transition of quasi-military rule to a multi-party democratic system in Ghana. By this, Ghana had clearly come of age, and the international community recognized its unique status among African nations as a symbol of parliamentary democracy in Africa. To encourage direct foreign investment, the President, together with his ministers, has embarked on several trips abroad to encourage foreigners to invest in the country. His trips have taken him to the United States of America, Europe, and the Far East. These trips have yielded fruitful results as direct foreign investment has witnessed a steady growth. The international community has also recognized the efforts of Ghanaians, as many foreign dignitaries have visited the country. The high point of such visits was the visit of President Bill Clinton of the United States to the country on 15th March 1998, the first by a serving American president to the country, clearly establishing Ghana's claim as the gateway to Africa. In November 1999, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II of the United Kingdom and her husband Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, also visited Ghana for a 3-day official visit. President Rawlings was for several years the chairman of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, and was very instrumental in bringing peace to the beleaguered and war-torn nations of Liberia and Sierra Leone. He is also the winner of several awards. He was a joint recipient of the 1993 World Hunger Prize. On 25th October 1995, the City University of New York awarded him an honorary doctorate of law in recognition of the president's leadership qualities, which has enabled Ghana to forge ahead in development. The Lincoln University of the United States also bestowed another degree, the honorary degree of Doctor of Diplomacy and Development. This was in recognition of his dedicated service to the people of Ghana and for the economic development and political stability of his country. In December 1996, President Rawlings and his party, the National Democratic Congress, won a second term of office, the first time in the history of the nation that one civilian administration had succeeded another. Democracy had come to stay in Ghana. President Rawlings is a family man. After a long courtship, he married his high school sweetheart, Konadu Agyeman, in January 1977. President and Mrs. Rawlings have 4 children, Ezaneto, Yasentwa, Amina, and Kimathi, the only boy. Mrs. Rawlings also stands as an icon of social endeavor to Ghanaians, a fitting partner to a great man. Nana Konadu Agyeman Rawlings was born in November 1948 and is the 3rd child of the late J.O.T. Agyeman, a prominent Ghanaian entrepreneur, and his wife, Mrs. Felicia Agyeman, an educationist. Nana graduated with honors from the University of Science and Technology, Kumasi, in 1972 in graphic design and applied arts after attending one of Ghana's leading high schools, Achimota. Since December 1983, Her Excellency Mrs. Agyeman Rawlings has been the president of the 31st December Women's Movement, a non-governmental organization involved in integrated rural development and social advancement. The movement has grown from humble beginnings to a membership of approximately 2 million, with 10 regional offices and 110 district offices in the country. The 31st December Women's Movement, under Her Excellency, has received wide acclaim in Ghana and internationally for its positive contribution to issues involving women, such as economic emancipation through food production and processing, the building of creches for working women, the lobbying of legislation that defends the interests of women, as well as putting gender issues on the front burner of global decision makers. Towards this end, Her Excellency Nana Agyeman Rawlings was influential in presenting the case for women, enabling the government of Ghana to promulgate an interstate succession law to provide a unitary standard of inheritance that protected women against the different traditional laws that often resulted in penury and suffering for those whose husbands had died intestate. The movement is also credited with success in mobilizing a lot of women to come out to exercise their civic right in all the recent elections. Her Excellency has won several awards. In October 1994, Nana Agyeman Rawlings enrolled in the International Philanthropy Program at the Johns Hopkins University Institute of Policy Studies in Baltimore. In October 1995, the Lincoln University in Pennsylvania awarded Nana Agyeman Rawlings an honorary doctorate degree in social science for exemplary work in championing the cause of women's empowerment. Together, in the last 20 years, His Excellency and Her Excellency have helped shape the destiny of this country. They've come into their own, and Ghanaians have received them with warmth and respect. Their achievements have transcended our national boundaries, and they've achieved international recognition and excellence, contributing significantly to bring positive changes in the lives of their people. Against all odds in a deprived society, they've touched the souls of many and have uplifted the standard of living in rural and urban settings with strategic and visionary leadership. They've also risked their lives and forfeited personal gain and have chosen to work to bring about democratic change, exemplary leadership, and most importantly, peace and stability to Ghana. Congratulations, Your Excellencies, Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings and Nana Konadu Agyeman Rawlings. Mo.